Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Heroic Fatescribe Roh-Kalo. So my guild managed to kill this last night. As you can see in the top left, I streamed this, so we're going to watch my VOD from last night. And like my other two videos so far, I'm going to try and make this one pretty general so that you can share it with your guild or your friends or whatever, and they can get something out of it as well. Although there may be a couple things in here that I say that are Shadow Priest specific. Again, that's just because I main a Shadow Priest, and most of my viewers are Shadow Priests. So let's just get into it. The key things about this boss, it's not particularly hard as soon as you can understand the gimmicks of the fight, right? So you see these 6 different rings on the ground. There's like a bunch of different runes on them. Every so often, the boss will cast like Realign Fate or something it's called. And he'll choose 10 different people and give them a buff called Runic Affinity. And then one of the runes on all 6 of these, or on 4 of the 6 of these rings, will light up. And you have to turn the ring so that the rune goes into the socket that it's supposed to go into. You'll see when we start the video, and I'm not going to go way too in depth about all the mechanics in this fight, just because there are videos out there where people will explain them all, but I will give you tips and tricks on how to deal with them. So let's just start it. These world markers that we have are where the sockets appear on each ring. So I'll pause real quick. If you want to take a look and set up these world markers for your group as well, this is something that I find very helpful, because then you can just be like, oh, I am assigned to this second outer ring, and I can see where my rune is, but I can't see where the socket is, right? These world markers, you can find them a lot easier than you can find the socket on the ring itself. So you can be way across the room and see Moon, and just know that Moon is the second furthest out. And you can be like, oh, I'm over here, so I know I have to go to Moon, right? So yeah, if you want to set up these markers like this, the door is right behind me. So it's yellow is to the front left of the boss a little bit, and then orange is to the back right, etc., right? So this is what it looks like, and maybe you can find a frame or something later on in this video where you can, find these positions a lot easier. But yeah, let's just get into it. So first things first, there's going to be some bombs. I don't know exactly what okay, so yeah, there's this Twist Fate thing that comes out, which puts a dot on a bunch of people. This is not something that you really have to worry about too much unless you're a healer, in which case you just need to remember that those people are taking extra damage. And then the very first thing that happens is this Beams cast, right? It's called Fated Conjunction, and it's not the most intuitive thing, but these beams will appear on, there's 2 different formations they can have. We call this one Hourglass because it takes up a quarter of the room, and then when they go off, it comes to the other quarter of the room, right, in kind of an hourglass shape. And then the other one is called Star because there will be 3 beams pointing towards the middle, and then when they go off, they all cross the room, right? So it becomes an asterisk. But yeah, you need to keep in mind that these beams aren't just going to be in the area that's shaded, they're also mirrored across the circle. So we're in a bad spot right here. We need to move to the right. And the easiest way to deal with this mechanic is you just come to the edge of one of these lines, right? So you can see a bunch of people got hit right there because they didn't move in time. And then this is the bomb mechanic. The easiest way to handle this is just take it directly out, and then you want to overlap your circle as much as possible with the other people, so that you have as much space as possible. Although you'll only ever get 6 bombs before you phase, and the bombs end up going away. So it's not crazy important that you maximize space. But what I like to do, and maybe I do it right here, is I like to stand, yeah, so see how I'm standing really close to this edge? That's so that they're as close as possible to each other so that we can have more room for more bombs later. And then something that might also help people that I've noticed other guilds don't do Um, when these bombs come out, there's almost always a tank ad right after, and then we drag the boss to the tank ad, and the tank needs to kite the ad around, right? Because if you just stay right here and let the tank ad run in and people like move over to hit it, and then the boss stays here, so melee have to stay here, then the next time you get bombs, you can't just run straight out, right? Because there's already bombs here. If you move this way, then you've cleared the outside edge, so that when bombs come out again, you can just run straight out and you'll be next to the bombs that were already placed. And maybe we'll see it on this pole right here. So the Shade of Destiny comes out. Yeah, so see, we're moving the boss over this way towards the Shade. Everybody moves over. The melee can start cleaving the Shade. Range should be on it ASAP, right? I've got the dot on me again, but you can see it's not like super deadly. And then these ads come out. And then this is the next set of bombs, right? And if we were back where we were positioned at the beginning, then there would be two really big circles right here on the left where people couldn't take bombs. But because we've moved, we can take all three bombs just straight to the edge right here. And then we're just going to continue around the circle. Although in Heroic, this is the last set of bombs before the boss phases. Or maybe there's one more, but I'm pretty sure this is the last set. So it's not like crazy important that we keep moving forever. Right here, these ads come out. As a Shadow Priest, you're not going to have a very easy time hitting all these ads. So what I just do is, I'm playing Twist of Fate, as you can see right here. And what you want to do is just focus the boss, right? We're here for single target damage. So you can Mind Seer right here for increased insanity generation for your Devouring Plagues or whatever. And Mind Searing right here will give you a little bit more Twist of Fate uptime. But you're not really worried about doing damage to these ads. You're really focusing on just killing the boss, and other people can cleave the ads down. A lot of people might see moments like this and think, oh, Shadow Crash or Searing Nightmare would be good on this fight. And while that's true, if you're trying to like go for a rank 1 pad parse, you will do more damage with Shadow Crash and Searing Nightmare. The damage that actually matters is the damage to the boss, right? These anomalies can die pretty much whenever, so just incidental cleave will kill them, and that's not a big deal. So if you're really trying, like if you're in progression and you're really trying to kill this boss, most people should be focusing on single target damage. I can't imagine a case where somebody should be focusing on AoE damage, because there's like never a time where you want to be doing damage to a ton of stuff, and it's more important than killing the boss, right? So yeah, these next bombs come out and people just run them straight to the left. You see how they're like trying to overlap them again. That's just another helpful thing. The beams come out. It's hourglass again, so if you watch, they'll cut across. You might not be able to see it. Yeah, there you go. Then the tank ad comes out. We're moving around the circle still to run over to the tank ad. And then you see Realign Fate soon. The boss is going to phase at 70% HP, and it's going to start the intermission mechanic phase, right? And so we're just focusing this tank ad down. The tank needs to kite it. If it hits the tank, we take a ton of damage. But it doesn't hit the tank, so we're good. And then we're going to push the boss right here. Something I will mention, if your DPS is particularly high, and you're hitting 70% on Fatescribe before you kill the tank ad, that's a bad thing, right? You want to make sure that, like, what we do is we get to like 72%, maybe 71.5 or something, and then the tank ad is about to come out, so we stop all damage on the boss, and we focus on the tank ad until it's dead, and then we kill the boss. It's really important that your tank doesn't have the tank ad on them during this intermission, because there are ads that they need to run around and pick up, and it makes it way harder if they have to be kiting a tank ad the whole time, right? And you're going to have 10 people trying to do the mechanic, right? So it's going to be way less damage on the tank ad, etc. Basically, make sure you try to phase this boss right after the tank ad dies, not before. So then the boss is moving to the middle. You can still hit him while he's moving to the middle. So as a Shadow Priest, I'm trying to re-up my dots so that they have a long duration on them, so they're still ticking. And then you need to be careful. This is a good frame. This is one of the runes that's going to be needed to be moved, right? You can tell because it's like light blue compared to this rune, which is inactive, right? And when this intermission starts, the circles will be spinning around, right? And some of them will stop before other circles stop, and you need to know when your circle is stopped, right? So don't immediately run to your rune, because you might end up having to chase it like the whole way around and then start doing it, right? And if you do need backup, I'll explain it a little bit, but if you do need backup, it's important that you don't start calling for backup unless you actually need it, right? If your rune is like, let's say 25% of the way and you need to go right, which means you need 2 people, but it hasn't stopped spinning, you might be like, oh, I need backup on square or whatever, but then it spins a little bit further and now it's past the rune, the socket on the left, and then you only actually need 1 person, and then your guy comes over and starts moving it the wrong way, right? So I would say before you say anything about your rune, wait for it to stop moving, and then you have enough time during these 2 intermissions. You've got 40 seconds to do these runes. You have enough time to sit there, take a second, figure out which direction it needs to go, and then start calling for help or whatever. The only time that is maybe not the case is in phase 3, when you get these runes while you're fighting the boss, and you only have 30 seconds then instead of 40, which means that you need to make decisions a lot quicker, right? Because you've got 10 less seconds. And I'll mention, so I wasn't picked for this first set of runes, so my guild is just doing them. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to mention over here. So my guild is doing the runes, I'm not doing them, which means that the next time the runic affinity comes out, I'm more likely to be picked. So now that I've seen this first set go out, I know that it wasn't me, so I'm preparing myself mentally to be ready to do the mechanic the next time it comes out, which will be at around 40% boss HP. And as you can see from this frame, we've got this rune is almost done, and we've got 8 seconds left, and this rune is not even close, right? I mean, it's, as you'll see, we don't wipe here, so it's close enough, right? But this rune is like really sketchy, and it ends up going in within like the last second. So pretty sketchy. Also, I forgot to mention, but there's like a gray orb on the outside of the room, not one of these small like white and black orbs. It's like gray and it's pretty big and it moves really slowly. You need to make sure that everybody is watching their feet big time during the intermission, because that oh, this is the star formation, by the way. That gray orb does a ton of damage if you step in it, if you get hit by it, etc., right? So everybody needs to be watching their feet to make sure they don't. Also, I'll mention something that was tripping up my guild for a while. When the intermission is starting and Fatescribe is casting Realign Fate or whatever, the circles will start spinning. If anybody is still on the circles when they stop spinning or when he finishes the cast, it'll throw you off, right? If you don't have Runic Affinity. I'm not sure if it'll throw you off if you do have Runic Affinity, but it will throw you off if you don't. And you can get thrown into one of those gray orbs or into an ad and get meleeed, etc., right? And you just like instantly die or instantly take a ton of damage. So when the boss goes to the middle and starts casting that and all the circles start spinning, just step off to the edge and just stand there for a second. You don't have to worry about, like, we had so many times throughout the whole fight, I mean the whole night, where people would get thrown into an orb or get thrown into an ad, right? And you can avoid it entirely. You're not going to get knocked back if you're not on the circles, right? And I don't know how many people realized that or whatever, but I figured it out, so now I'm telling you guys, right? So this is the star formation. You just want to stand close to one of these edges, and then it comes across, right, and it makes a star. And then, yeah, we're just going to keep moving on. We've got these bombs. We want to overlap them like this, right? This is like the ideal situation. And then we get Invoke Destiny, which is the ad on the tank. And so you can see this bomb right here. We want to move the tank, we want to move the boss to the far edge of that bomb, right? So that people can put a bomb over here. And then we're on the tank ad, right? You need to be focusing the tank ad down, like I said. we get another set of dots on people. The tank ad dies, and it spawns these little ads. Again, these just die to incidental cleave. And then bombs come out, and as you can see, people just run it straight to the side because of where we've moved the boss. And then it gets a little awkward because people were overlapping, and so the whole raid ends up having to move, but it works out. It would have been a little bit better had we moved the boss a little bit further along the circle, but it worked out anyway. So now we're going to move the boss pretty far, it looks like. So the tank ad is out again. We should be focusing it. It's going to spawn several little ads again when it dies. And then the boss is at 44% HP. So it's about to phase pretty soon. We get the star formation on the beams. It comes across. And then the bombs are all set. And now we've got like 42 seconds left. Not 42 seconds. The boss is at 41% HP. And we're holding damage here in case, because all of our like DBM timers and everything are off. So we're holding damage here in case there's another tank ad. But then we decide to just push it anyway because a tank ad wasn't coming out. So if you'll watch as these things are spinning, this is the gray orb by the way, as these things spin, it knocks back people who are still on there, right? I get the runic affinity thing on me, so I need to find square, which is this furthest out one, and I need to take it all the way around, and I decide I'm just going to go left, even though it's closer to go right. I've got 35 seconds to go left. Somebody even mentions, I'm here to help if you want to go right, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to go left. I've got plenty of time. The rings spin relative to their position, right? So the innermost ring has the shortest distance to travel, so it spins the slowest. I guess the easiest way to say that is each ring takes the exact same amount of time to make one full rotation, right? Which means that because the inner circles are smaller, they move slower because they have less distance to go, and the big circles move faster, right? So if you're assigned to square like I just was, you almost always want to have some kind of movement ability so that you can keep up with it, right? This is like, again, like the perfect overlap that you want for those bombs. So yeah, you want this. So there's a weak aura. There's 2 weak auras that will help with this. I get assigned to square again here, and square comes up, so I need to go do it. There's 2 weak auras that will help with this that are pretty popular, and so most people will have them. You want to put your mobile people should be near the bottom of the priority list, and less mobile people should be near the top of the priority list. Just because, like I said, the outer circles move faster, so you want faster people on them, and the inner circles move slower, so the less mobile people can do those, right? So then we get another set of beams, and this is phase 3, right? This is when you lust and you pop all your cooldowns and everything. And there's going to be another set of runes coming up right here. In phase 3, I'll mention before we finish killing the boss, in phase 3, you only get 2 runes. So in phases, in the intermission phases between the phase 1s, basically, right? So it goes phase 1, intermission, phase 1, intermission, phase 3, right? So in the intermissions, you'll get 4 runes. You'll have 10 people to do 4 runes. And in phase 3, you'll get 2 runes, and you'll still have 10 people assigned, right? Actually, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like we had 9 people assigned right here, but maybe this is missing something. Oh yeah, Aerial Druid got assigned, but is not on this list. Huh, interesting. So yeah, it looks like you do get 10 people assigned. Anyway, you only have the 2 runes to do, but because it's like the very end of the fight, people have a tendency to tunnel the boss, to tunnel vision on the boss when the boss is getting close to dying. So I just want to put this out as a warning again. Make sure that even though the boss is almost dead, you're still doing the mechanics. This is like the time where it's most important for you to do the mechanics, right? A lot of people will be like, oh, the boss is almost dead. I'm just going to ignore this last mechanic and hopefully we'll kill the boss before it goes off, right? If I do a little more damage, then maybe we'll kill the boss in time. That's almost always the wrong call. There are definitely times where that's the correct call, but it's almost always just safer for you to be like, okay, it's going to take 15 seconds longer for us to kill the boss if we don't tunnel right now, but the chances that we kill the boss before this mechanic goes off are not super high. So it's just way safer to do the final mechanic, make sure everybody's nice and safe, and then kill the boss really cleanly, right? Rather than being like, okay, come on, please, come on. Ah, we missed it just barely, right? So anyway, yeah, we get a tank ad still going on in phase 3. The runes going on in phase 3. The boss is down to like 10% HP. This call to eternity thing goes off, which is the bombs. So people need to be focusing the tank ad while doing the bombs, while doing the runes, which can be kind of hectic, right? I will say, if you're doing the runes, if you're assigned with runic affinity, even if you're not assigned to a specific rune, if you just have the buff, make sure that you ignore doing all damage. You should just completely give up on doing damage and make sure you focus on the runes, because if the runes don't get done, you guys insta-wipe, right? It instantly kills everybody. So the runes are #1 priority by a long shot. And most guilds will have enough damage to meet every single DPS check. This boss is not something that you're going to be like pushing for every little bit of DPS, right? It's like it's a pushover as soon as you get all the mechanics down, right? You don't have to do like crazy amounts of damage to kill this boss. And then the last thing I want to say before this finishes is just my like pro tip, I guess, for how to handle the runes. I'll just give you like a nice simple way to do it. If we look at this inner circle right here, this is going to be kind of hard to explain because I've only got my mouse to like point, right? But bear with me. If you look at this inner circle, right? Let's say that's the circle that you're assigned to, and the socket appears on star, and your rune appears right here, let's say, okay? So in like the corner, pretty much like 60% of the way if you go right, and 40% of the way if you go left, right? What you want to do is you wait for your rune to stop spinning, right? And then once it has stopped spinning, run to your rune and stand on the wood, this like darker area, outside of your rune, right? So face the middle and stand outside of your rune. Don't stand in the rune. Stand on the wood outside of it and look towards the middle. And then the easy way to remember which direction goes which, right, depending on how many people, is when you're looking towards the middle, one person will move it left and 2 people will move it right, right? And I'll also mention that most runes can go both ways and be fine as long as you start immediately and stick with one direction the whole time. You have to be like more than 3/4 of the way and go the wrong way to not make it. You have to be like 80% of the way away. But yeah, most runes can just go one direction, stick with that direction, and make it regardless of which direction they choose. But there are times where you can't, so to make that easier, again, you stand on the wood outside of your rune. So let's say this is your rune, right? You'd stand where this guy is standing, and you would look towards the center of the room. And then once you are looking towards the center of the room and you find where the rune needs to go, you think to yourself, 1 left, 2 right. So if you need to go right, you know it's 2, which means you need to call for a backup. You need to say, hey, somebody come help me on star, right? And somebody will come stand on it with you. Or if it needs to go left, even like this one right here, this rune right here, it can go left and make it in time as long as you're in phases 1 or 2. In phase 3, you probably will have a hard time making that, going left. But if it needs to go left, you look at it, you think 1 left, 2 right, you step in if it's going left, and then you just run with it the rest of the way, right? Hopefully that tip helps make those runes a lot easier. Figuring out that mechanic is going to be the biggest hurdle for guilds to kill this boss, right? Once you can figure out how to do the runes efficiently and consistently, the boss will die pretty quickly after that, right? Like I said, the boss is a pushover, so you don't have to do a ton of damage, and it's not a ton of raid damage going out, so you don't need a ton of healing or anything. You just need to make sure you do the runes, and then the boss will die. So yeah, I'll just let this finish playing. There are still like beams going off and bombs coming out and things during this last phase. We get another set of runes, but the boss is less than 1%, so we end up just killing the boss. I still move out to do that bomb, but then the boss dies, so we're good. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Hopefully this helped. Let me know if you guys found it helpful. If you liked the video, make sure you leave a like. If you really liked it, feel free to subscribe, share it with your friends. I have a Discord server. If you guys want to talk or anything, feel free to join it. There's a link in the description below. Also, I do stream on Twitch, as you can see. I stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So if you're in my Discord server, you'll get a ping every time I go live. I'd love to see you guys there. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.